Video of exhaust manifold heat shielding. I bought this from AliExpress. It was the cheapest one that they had. It's just aluminium sheet in a 50 by 30 centimeter sheet, and I think at the moment it's around $11, $4 shipping, something like that. And I'm using this on the turbo engine. Before, the turbo manifold was completely open. There was no heat shielding on it at all, and the issue I was having was that when you opened the bonnet, you'd get a massive wave of heat, like a real strong wave of heat coming off the engine, and this intake pipe here would get so hot that you couldn't really touch it. So what I've done is I've put the heat shielding over the exhaust manifold like this. I've just cut it into a rectangle. I've folded the edges so it's not so sharp. I've just done enough to cover the top, go around the sides a little bit. I'm not sure how much you can see. I've gone around the ends a little bit, and I've gone around the other side just to try and shield the compressor a little bit. And I've also put some on the above the actuator, the turbo actuator. The wastegate actuator is here, and you've got some hoses here, coolant hoses for the heater inside. So I've just put some around there again. Hopefully, let me see if I can get the camera around here so you can see where I've put it over the hoses there. Didn't take long to fit. I've fitted these. There was a couple of spare holes in the cylinder head, so I've screwed 2 screws in there to hold it, and the rest is held on with the metal ties that you would use for exhaust strap. I've wrapped one around the hoses and one around the turbo compressor there, and that is the setup. So what difference has it made? Well, it's been a huge difference. Whereas before, if you went for a quick blast, open the bonnet, like I said, you get a massive wave of heat coming off the engine. That is gone now. It feels just like a normal engine. It's very normal temperature when you open the bonnet. And this intake pipe before, where I could barely touch it, now it's just slightly warm. I'd say it's been a huge win and well worth doing. I've had experience with other products, heat shield products from DEI. They do a heat sheath, I think it's called, which is a fabric sheet that you can get. It's aluminiumized on one side, and it's on a fiberglass material. I've tried that on exhaust manifolds before, and that does more or less a very similar job to this. But the difference with that is, in my experience at least, when you use it on an exhaust manifold, that will the DEI, that fabric sheet, will get very brittle, eventually crack and just disintegrate. So I would say that this AliExpress heat shielding is going to last longer. I don't see why this shouldn't last forever, to be fair, versus the DEI. And also that fabric sheet from DEI is probably around 4 times the price, 3 or 4 times the price of this aluminium sheet. So I would say this sheet is better. The other experience I have of a product from DEI is the Form-a-shield, and that is very similar to this aluminium sheet, but it's also got a layer of fabric. It's not fabric, it's like it's insulation. It's high temperature insulation, so it's quite thick. It's probably 1 centimeter thick. Now I would expect that would do just as good a job, probably better. Well, it would do a better job than the AliExpress stuff. But the issue with that Form-a-shield is it's quite thick, and I've gone through some quite tight gaps here, and that is one reason why I didn't use the Form-a-shield, because of the thickness. It would be a bit more difficult to mold, get into the gaps that I wanted to get it into. And another downside of that Form-a-shield is that it is price again. It's probably getting on for 4 times the price of this heat shielding. So again, I think this heat shielding was the way to go. And something else I would say, while that DEI Form-a-shield will probably do, well, let's say it will definitely do a better job of insulation, I'm not sure how much of a better job I want to do over this heat shielding. How much heat do I want to keep in the exhaust manifold into the turbine housing? Would that cause problems with the stuff getting too hot? I'd be a bit worried about that, keeping too much heat in. And to be fair, as this is at the moment, I wouldn't say I needed anything more than what this simple shield has done. There are other products out there, like Zircotec is one that springs to mind. They do something that's very similar to kitchen foil, but stronger, more resilient than kitchen foil, with a ceramic squares on it, like sprayed onto it. I'm sure that would do just as good a job, if not better job, than this heat shield here. It would be easier to work with again, because it's very easy to fold over what you want. Like I said, it's something similar to kitchen foil. But again, the issue with that is price. I would say that's probably getting on to at least 5 times the price of this. And I think the Zircotec would last. If money is no object, then probably the Zircotec is probably the way to go. The foil that they've got would be great. And another product that DEI have, which I think is basically the same as this, they call it a Dimpled Aluminium sheet. That is, I think, like I said, identical to this. I think maybe it's a bit thicker, but the price on that is probably getting on for twice the price of this. So all in all, this is a win for me. You want something cheap, want something that's going to last, and want something that does the job. I think this ticks all the boxes. That's it, guys. If you like the video, subscribe. If you're subscribed already, thanks for subscribing. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you again next time.